I had in mind something like that because the Chaver having children. Yeah. Okay. I forgot it. Oh. Wow. Hold on, no, wait. We're on page 325, and we're going to start at the third line. Okay. So we started this Torah yesterday, and the question is, why did Yaakov say to Yosef, Im no matzasi chen beinecha, if I found favor in your eyes, then please do not bury me in Mitzrayim, but rather I want to be. My plan is for me to be laid to rest with my ancestors. That's how it works. See? Okay.
Sometimes I get
that helps, right? So, and what we were learning yesterday was that Yaakov was giving over to Yosef how precious Eretz Yisrael is, and the word chen, right? It means grace and beauty, right? But it's really the concept is a concept of preciousness. In other words, like when people come into the store and they say, "Oh, that's precious," right? They see something that's really nice. They say, "That's precious," right? You notice that people will use that word, right? In other words, what do you mean it's precious? It's nice. It's beautiful. Why precious? right? Because beauty brings out a certain sense of something being precious, right? And Reb Sholomo said, like, thank God Hashem made kids have little children have chen, so that parents should have patience, like, and appreciate that they have a child. Okay. One night I was walking to shul on Friday night, and I don't know who it was because I didn't. I was walking past one of these houses, and this lady was screaming at her child, like, and saying the most terrible things, like, and I remember, like, I felt like going and knocking on the door and just rescuing the child. Sometimes parents just lose it, and they see their child never has a burden, and so on, and that's a horrible thing. So Reb Shlomo says that, thank God that kids are cute and sweet, so that their parents should appreciate, should appreciate their children. We have a daughter living in Hebron, and one of the children who's already an adult, is autistic, should be well. Somebody, and when he was bar mitzvah, his father, Vayechi Simcha, was talking about how when their kid was diagnosed, he realized that Hashem was putting him into a situation of, are you going to put into practice all the things that you teach now, or are you going to do like everybody else and just complain, And I would hear things like, from our daughter when she'd go to a meeting with parents with these issues, with children with such issues, that parents would talk about these children as if they were cursed. In other words, that the parents were cursed that God gave them such a child, And it's not that it's not that you can't understand them or feel for them. It's just it's tragic when people look at a situation in life and say that this is, that a difficult situation is a curse. Juliana, can you bring some of your glasses there in the wash? They're in the dishwasher. So, take for example, you all know what's going on in Eretz Yisrael today. I just want to say, first of all, that we're dedicating this shir for the shloshim of Danuta Bat Yocheved. Okay. Not just what's happening in Israel today, but Bichlal, if you're familiar with the Navi, you'll find, turn them upside down, please. So when they use them, they'll use them, or otherwise I know which ones are clean. Okay? Thank you. In the Navi, you see in Sefer Shoftim particularly that the Jews are saying constantly that we want to be kechol hagoyim, like all the nations, right? And is it a blessing to be a Jew, or is it a curse to be a Jew? Huh?
Both.
Why both? It's a blessing to be a Jew, but what?
It seemed like a trick question, so you say both.
I see. But there are people, like there are Jews who just, they don't, who still haven't found their connection with Yiddishkeit. That for them, they feel like it's like, like they're always wearing a yellow star type of thing, that wherever they go, like, people know, oh, there's a Jew, right? actually one of the theories of Jewish history is, when I say the theory of Jewish history, is no other civilization has survived except for us. Okay? In other words, every great civilization has come and gone, right? And what was the name of that British historian who wrote a 6-volume or 7-volume history of all civilizations? Toynbee. Toynbee didn't include the Jewish people in his history. Why not?
There's no end.
So he said, because in his model of history, every civilization starts at some point, it rises, it reaches its apex, and then it starts into a decline and fades out of history. And we haven't faded out of history, so in his opinion, we are an ahistorical people, right? In any case, so one of the theories about how come we haven't disappeared is that that is the anti-Semite that keeps the Jew Jewish. In other words, when Jews have tried to assimilate and forget about who we are, the anti-Semite comes and says, we're going to remind you. Now, it's a pretty valid theory, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't think I'm Jewish because of an anti-Semite. You know what I mean? It's just, but for Jews who don't feel that connection yet, very often it's like, pick up the paper and it's the anti-Semite that is reminding the Jew that they're Jewish. You know the old joke about this Jew sitting in Germany and he's reading the Nazi newspaper back in the 30s, and his friend says, "Why are you reading that?" He says, "Look, in a regular Jewish newspaper, it says we've got this problem, we've got that problem, we've got that problem. In this paper, it says the Jews are the richest, the Jews are the smartest, the Jews are the this. I'd rather read that, you know." But we have all the power for what?
The joke is current now about reading an Arab paper.
Yeah.
You know, the
Same thing. You can read in the States. You can read such papers too. Yeah. Okay, so third line. At p'tiratosh shel Yaakov Avinu, until the departure, the leaving of Yaakov Avinu on page 325. Eretz Yisrael hayta shelanu pashut mipnei she'Hashem natan lanu ota. So Eretz Yisrael was ours just because Hashem simply had given it to us. אבל הקשר הזה היה רק במדרגה של נכון או לא נכון. But the connection was just on the level of correct or incorrect. In other words, Hashem natan haaretz shelanu, וזה הדבר הנכון. Fact that Hashem gave Eretz Yisrael to us, and that's correct. It's ours, right? Right. In other words, Israel is the homeland of the Jewish people. Achon. Says so in the Bible, right? Says so in the Torah. Question is, are the Jewish people feeling a special connection with Eretz Yisrael? Right? If another 2-3 million Jews would make Aliyah in the next year, and I think the world would get it. You know, that we really feel connected to the land. So, אבל כשביקש יעקב מיוסף שיגבור אותו בארץ ישראל, התחולל שינוי גדול. So when Yaakov asked of Yosef to be buried in Eretz Yisrael, that brought about a big change. הוא העניק ליוסף את הקשר לארץ ישראל במדרגה של חן. He gave Yosef, he No. There's a word I'm looking for, but I just can't find it right now. He gifted Yosef with the connection to Eretz Yisrael on the level of preciousness. Hu yagishu muchach liyot sham. Yaakov felt that he must be there, lo mipnei shezeh nachon, shezo mitzvah, not because it's the right thing to do or because it's a mitzvah, ela biglal hatchusha hapnimit shesham mikomo hayachid, but rather because of this inner sense that that is his only place. There's no other place for him. When Judy and I started to date, and it was like looking like it might get serious. So she said, "Do you accept to move to Eretz Yisrael? And if not, we're finished now." You know, like mamish, like wow, like it was like clear that how precious Eretz Yisrael is to her. So in other words, he gifted Yosef with the sense now that Eretz Yisrael is mamish precious. יכול להיות שיש בבעלותי 15 בתים, maybe I own 15 houses, אבל זה לא הופך אותם לחשובים עבורי. That doesn't mean that they're all important to me. כשיש חן, but when there is חן, לעומת זאת, האדם או החפץ נעשים יקרים וחשובים לי. When something has חן, the person or the object become important and precious to me. על פי ההלכה, according to the halacha, you can check it in the Rambam, אם אני מאבד משהו ולא מצליח למצוא אותו, if I lose something and I don't manage to find it, סיכוי גדול שהוא מפסיק להיות שייך לי. So it's a big chance that it's not going to be mine anymore. In other words, that I'm going to stop giving, I'm going to give up ownership. אבל זה רק במדרגה של נכון ולא נכון, but it's just on the level of correct or incorrect. דמיינו שיש לי חפץ שהוא כל כך יקר לי, but imagine I have something that's so precious to me. עד שאני מוכן לנסוע עד לקצה העולם כדי למצוא אותו, so much that I'm ready to travel to the end of the world to find it. זוהי המדרגה של חן. That's what precious means. In other words, something that's precious, you're ready to go to all lengths to find it. יעקב אבינו נתן ליוסף את המתנה המיוחדת הזאת של חן. So Yaakov gave Yosef this special gift. Just 1 second, please. Noach, I'm just teaching until 1:30. Can I call you back?
Yes, I just wanted to see if you're available back.
Yeah, I'll call you back, okay? Yeah. So Yaakov gave Yosef this great gift of chen. עד אז כל חייו של יוסף הצדיק הוקדשו לעשיית הדבר הנכון. Until then, Yosef's entire life was devoted, thank you, to doing the right thing. וזהירות מפני הדבר הלא נכון, and being careful of that which is not right. כמובן, clearly, אסור לזלזל בזה. It is prohibited to, in other words, do not denigrate this. Do not denigrate this. Okay. Do not denigrate this at all. We're on page 325 in the paragraph before the 3 stars. And להצליח לא לשגות כל החיים, to be successful, not to make a mistake all your life. and not, and to keep on doing that, which is right throughout your life, is amazing. So kedusha gedola ma'od. It's a very, very high level of kedusha. אבל יש עמוק מזה. You have it?
Okay.
It's the first last line of that paragraph. The word line begins with the word מזה. אבל יש עמוק מזה, but there's something deeper than that. לפני שיעקב אבינו נפטר, before Yaakov Avinu passed away, הוא אמר לי, יוסף, אני רוצה לתת לך מתנה, I want to give you a gift. אני רוצה לתת לך משהו שאין לך. I want to give you something that you don't have. אתה יודע עד כמה ארץ ישראל חשובה לי? Do you have any idea how precious and important Eretz Israel is to me? אני מוכרח להיקבר שם. I have to be buried there. לכן אני נותן לך את ארץ ישראל במדרגה של חן. So I'm giving you Eretz Israel on the level of preciousness. ומשם והלאה, הקדושה של יוסף הצדיק הייתה שכל דבר היה יקר לו מאוד. And from then on, the level of Yosef was, the holiness of Yosef HaTzadik was that everything became very precious.
Are we talking about Yosef Tzaddik in later life?
Yeah.
Or all through his life?
No, he's saying, what Reb Sholomo is saying is that Pshat, that why did Yaakov ask Yosef to be, why did he choose Yosef to be the one to bury him in Eretz Yisrael, was because Yosef was the one who had the ability to carry it out. That's Pshat, right? In other words, Pshat. But the way that he asked him to do it, by saying, if I find chen in your eyes, okay? Please do not bury me in Chutz La'aretz. That's okay. That's just that's the fun. Don't bury me in Eretz Yisrael, in Chutz La'aretz. So he could have just said, please bury me in Eretz Yisrael. But the fact that he said, Im no matzati chen be'enecha, right? He's addressing something that Yosef didn't have yet. That Yosef was holy, but Yaakov Avinu wanted him to have the sense of appreciation and preciousness. And you can pull the table a bit this way if you want. There we go. Okay. He wanted him to have that sense of how precious Eretz Yisrael is. Okay, and that's starting now. In other words, that's in a sense, it's a gift. Right? When you share how precious something is to you with another person, you're opening their eyes and their hearts for them to appreciate how precious it is. Okay, like he gave the example yesterday, right? Like people go to the kotel, and it's the right thing to do. Yeah, it's the right thing to do. It's and so on. But when you go to the kotel with somebody who really appreciates it and they share that with you, then all of a sudden, like you start to you yourself start to realize, wow, yeah, it really is precious, right? Okay, yeah. What does a father give to his children before he dies? So one might say that he transfers to them the knowledge of what's right and what's not. But the deeper truth is, before a person passes away, he's connecting his children to the end of days. He is transferring them to them, he's giving them the holiness of preciousness. He's transferring to them the most intense connection, right?
Is he talking about Yosef?
No, he's talking Bichlal. You understand? The doesn't mean that everybody does this, but what he's saying is that I mean, you too, Michal, like, from time to time you've said things about about your father and about your mother, right? And Shalom. And if you think about it, what are the things that touched you the most? It's those things that they gave over to you with a sense of preciousness. That this is precious, right? It's okay. It's open. It's Judy. It's Judy. Or no, she'll be behind you. You're leaning on the parsha?
No, the Gemara.
Which Gemara?
That person doesn't get angry, doesn't get drunk, and doesn't.
Oh yeah, which parsha was it? It's the parsha Noach. Oh yeah, the Shabbos. There's a Gemara that says that you have to be very, very careful the last few minutes of your life not to lose it all. If somebody chas v'sholem all his life was doing Torah and mitzvahs, and at the end of his life says it didn't mean anything to him, or it wasn't worth it to him, or something like that, he loses all his reward. God forbid. Because basically means that it was never precious to him. And what you're really giving over to your children is that, like, take for example, there are kids who grew up in families that are not observant, and they become Bali Tshuva, and sometimes you can understand like where it came from. Sometimes it comes from because they saw their grandmother, for example, who was the last one in the family that still lit Shabbos candles, right? And maybe didn't necessarily do anything else, but they saw how precious it was to her to light Shabbos candles. Right? This guy is shaking his head like he's had personal experience.
No, but
Yeah. No, I would say, but that's how it is. You see, the kids see what's precious to you, right? And that's what really gets transferred. There is, yes, we educate the children with nachon and with lo nachon, right? This is right, this is not right, and so on, right? But like when I was in university, so I used to go eat my lunch in the cafeteria. So on Pesach, you see these Jewish guys ordering a hamburger on matzah. Tray for hamburger, but on matzah.
They had matzah in the cafeteria.
Yeah. They on Pesach. They had bread also. I'm just saying, but some of the Jewish kids, they know that what they were eating isn't kosher, but they wouldn't eat it on bread during Pesach. Right?
That's something.
It's something amazing.
That's right.
It's just amazing. Like, like, how come? Why are you doing that? Right? Because obviously somebody gave over to them how precious Pesach is. They didn't give over to them how precious keeping kosher is, but they certainly gave over to them that we don't eat bread on Pesach.
It's not so much what to say, it's what to do.
It's the way, that's right. Not just what to do, but the way.
I think that what you're saying is, you're saying what I was thinking. In other words,
He-
it's not just what you tell people, it's what you role
Yeah.
model.
You better be careful about what you think because he reads minds.
What you role model. In other words, what I am. It's
Yeah.
even more important than what I say
Yeah,
to my children.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah, as we were learning this, I'm thinking to myself, I was never like that. I never said to my children, this is what we do, this is what we do. I was never conscious of that. But in later life, that they're married, whatever, I can see that some of the things that I did, they did too, insofar as their children is concerned.
Mhm.
I was never Achnasas Parking. But when Meshula came, I did what my mother did. I got Kol of Israel and Matzah. And that the youngest one saw. And that's what he does.
Yeah.
So it's not so much what to,
Right.
but
Okay, Mama
I
said,
would have been this smart, this knowledgeable years ago. But then again, I wouldn't come here.
you're scaring these kids here. Mama said, "Ha'av liladav kodem ptirato," because they're going to say the same thing when they get to to your young age. Mama said, "Ha'av liladav kodem ptirato." She's already laughing about it now. Remember that. Mama said, "Ha'av liladav kodem ptirato." What does a father give over to his children before he dies? Oh, so we read that already. Sorry. Next paragraph. כתוב ואהבת את השם אלוקיך בכל לבבך, בכל נפשך, בכל מאודיך. Right? Everybody knows that verse. You should love Hashem, your God, with all your heart, with all your wealth, with all your very much. Right? Whatever is very much to you. הגמרא מפרשת, ובכל מאודיך, בכל נפשך is with all your soul, and even if you have to give your life, and b'chol moedecha, the Gemara says, "Hainu b'chol mamoncha," with all your money, im kol ma sheshayach lecha, which really means not just your money, but it really means with everything that you possess. Money is just meant to be synonymous over here for everything that you possess. In other words, יכול להיות אדם שאוהב את השם בכל ליבו ובכל נפשו. You can have a person that loves God with all his heart, with all his soul, אבל היהדות והוא עדיין לא שייכים זה לזה, but his Yiddishkeit and he are not connected. Hashem והוא עדיין לא שייכים לזה לזה, meaning to say that he and God don't belong to each other yet. In other words, he's I'm I, God is God, right? And but the connection is I believe in God, I do the mitzvahs, but the connection is still lacking, right? Adam yachol limsor et nafsho, a person can give his life. Ein sfor pa'amim laman eretz Yisrael, an infinite amount of times for Israel, אבל היא עדיין לא תהיה שייכת לו. But it doesn't mean that it belongs to him already. ייתכן שמבחינה חוקית היא רשומה על שמו. It's possible that legally it's listed under his name, אבל הוא לא מחובר אליה במדרגה של יעקב אבינו, but he's not yet connected to it on the level of Yaakov Avinu. בכל לבבך זה אברהם. All your heart is Abraham Avinu, Chesed. בכל נפשך זה יצחק. With all your life is Yitzchak. He was ready to be a sacrifice on the altar. בכל מאודיך, and with all your wealth, with everything you've got, זה יעקב, that's יעקב אבינו. יעקב אבינו היה במדרגת שדברים ממש היו שייכים אליו. He was on the level that things really belonged to him. כשמשהו שייך אליי, when something really belongs to me, פירוש הדבר, what does it mean it belongs to me? Shehu mashma'oti ma'od avuri, means that it's really meaningful to me. Right. הכיסא שאני יושב עליו שייך לי באופן חוקי. The chair that I'm sitting on is legally mine. כך שבמדרגה של נכון או לא נכון, on the level of what's right and what's not, what's true, what's not true, זה הכיסא שלי, this is my chair. אבל כל עוד הוא לא חשוב לי, but so long as it isn't precious to me, הוא לא שייך אליי באמת, it doesn't really belong to me. לפחות לא במדרגה של חן, at least not on the level of חן.
What kind of an example is that? I mean, how many of us think of a chair that we sit on?
It doesn't. Never mind. He just says substitute the example. That's not that's not the chair. That's the example. The example is anything that you really care about is yours. If you don't really care about it, it's if I take it, like it's still yours legally, but it's not yours. It's not so connected with you. Okay. One second. The understand the this chair that I'm sitting in, we brought it with us from Montreal, and I've heard this from Rabbi Sutton, and I've heard it from Shlomo Kass, that when they're sitting in this chair and they're teaching in this chair, they're teaching and they're learning is like on a different level. They've told me this on their own. And then I tell them that Reb Sholomo used to sit in this chair. When he'd come to Montreal, they say, okay. So now what does that mean? You might laugh, but it basically means that when he was connected with something, like, he really left a strong connection with it. Yeah.
It said near the top of the page, it said that if a person gives his life many times for Eretz Yisrael, he still may not be completely connected to it. But I would think that if I'm willing to die, and if I've actually died fighting to keep the Eretz Yisrael part of the Jewish people, I would think that.
And then there,
would
and
also
then,
give
and
me-
then, and then,
That's
and
not
then,
enough.
and no, you're taking it on a personal level, but there are former Chayalim that are now working for certain foreign NGOs and are doing a lot of damage to Eretz Yisrael. Okay. So they may have, sure, they were in Tzava and they did a lot of good, but they obviously weren't, like if they're now going and working against Eretz Yisrael, the whole BDS thing, the boycott and so on. You know who's advising them? Leftists from Eretz Yisrael. Look, who were the big leaders among the communists back in Russia? Yeah, some of the big ones were Jews. Okay, and they were out to wipe out Yiddishkeit. So how connected were they? So he says. So this level of connection of chen is something that's the level of b'chol me'odecha, right? And just to clarify that, hopefully clarify it a little bit more. There are people who have careers, whatever the career might be, okay? And whether it's science or whether it's music, it doesn't matter. And they're also religious Jews. They're observant. They keep Torah and mitzvahs. But if you ask them, what are you really into? Which is your real? What is your me'od? What is your very much? What is it? What are you doing that you invest your whole self into, right? So there are a lot of people that they're observant, but their real self, what's really exciting to them, what's really important to them, is something else other than their Yiddishkeit. Now, it doesn't mean that they should give up what they're doing. It's like like the art, like the story about these Vayechi. They would ask the Vayechi Rebbe, like the artists or whatever they were, what should I do now that I'm observant? And the Rebbe said, do the same thing that you were doing, but do it for Hashem. Understand? You invested yourself. Your career means something to you. It's special. It's important, and so on. Good. That is your ma'od. But use your ma'od as a love, as an expression of your love for Hashem. Okay. Till now, your ma'od was all about you. Now make it bring it to your ahavat Hashem.
So it's not that you change your behavior.
Not right. Focus, not necessarily right. Your connection is different. I also didn't before. We get smarter as we grow.
Hopefully.
Okay. So, זוהי המדרגה שגילה יעקב אבינו ליוסף קודם פטירתו. This is the level that Yaakov Avinu revealed to Yosef before he died. אם ארץ ישראל שייכת לי רק מצד הבעלות החוקית, if Eretz Israel is mine just because of legal ownership, אני יכול להיקבר ביוון, I can be buried in Greece, and בתחיית המתים אגיע לארץ ישראל בספינה ובמטוס, and then when Mashiach comes, when we'll have the revival of the dead, so I'll take a plane or a boat. אבל אם ארץ ישראל שייכת אליי במדרגה של חן, but if Eretz Israel belongs to me on the level of חן, אני מוכרח להיקבר שם. I have to be buried there. שימו לב לדבר עמוק. Pay attention to something, this is very deep. Yaakov and Rachel לא היו ביחד אף פעם בארץ ישראל. Yaakov and Rachel were never together in ארץ ישראל. רחל נפטרה זמן לא רב אחרי הכניסה לארץ. Rachel passed away not long after Yaakov was coming back to ארץ ישראל. מרגע שנכנסו לארץ ישראל, and from the moment that they came into Eretz Yisrael, Yaakov לא התקרב אליה. Yaakov did not live with her anymore, because, you know why? Because she was a sister of Leah. One of the explanations about why Yaakov was able to be married to two sisters was because it wasn't in Eretz Yisrael. Although today you can't do that anyway, but even though the Torah hadn't been given yet, like, once he came into Israel, it was like, okay, so that's, and Rachel was nifter. Rachel died just before we came into Israel. Was the second, that's right.
Rachel died after they came into Israel.
Yeah, but it's not, and that particular, they came into Israel, and was that part of Eretz Yisrael at that point? I don't know, but I just don't know. But we'll leave that for now. Okay. She says, "Rak b'chutz la'aretz hayu biyachad, efshar levaer zot kacha." So they were together only in Chutz La'aretz. So we can explain it like this. Yaakov Avinu miyatzeg Beit HaMikdash HaShlishi. Yaakov Avinu represents the third Beit HaMikdash. Beit HaMikdash HaRishon haya al Shem Avraham Avinu. The first Beit HaMikdash is related to Avraham Avinu. Beit HaMikdash HaSheni haya al Shem Yitzchak Avinu. The second is related with Yitzchak Avinu. Shneim hayu kedoshim ma'od. Both of them were very holy. Aval b'sofo shel davar nechrevu, but in the end they were destroyed. Beit HaMikdash HaShlishi, the third Beit HaMikdash, Atid lihiyot al Shem Yaakov Avinu, is going to be in the merit of Yaakov. Aval hu od lo nivneh, but it's not been built yet. Klomar, meaning to say, Yaakov Avinu od lo haya bayit mishelo, that Yaakov Avinu didn't have his own house yet, so to speak. Hatam lekach hu sheYaakov lo haya biyachad im Rachel be'eretz Yisrael, and the reason for that is that Yaakov wasn't with Rachel, wasn't together with her in Eretz Yisrael. אנחנו מחכים למשיח כדי שיעקב ורחל יהיו ביחד. We're waiting for Mashiach so that Yaakov and Rachel can be together. ראיתי זוגות שהתחתנו וקנו בית גדול ויפה. I've seen couples that got married and bought a nice big house. והבית שלהם היה במדרגה של נכון ולא נכון. And their house was on the level of נכון or לא נכון. אבל ראיתי גם זוגות שהתחתנו וגרו בקרוון קטן, but I've also seen couples that got married and lived in a caravan. In a small caravan, והקרוון שלהם היה ממש במדרגה של חן, and the caravan was ממש on the level of...
They want to know about love.
and the caravan was ממש on the level of precious beauty, the preciousness. כשנכנסים לקרוון הזה, מרגישים כמה הוא קדוש ומיוחד. And when you go into that little home, you sense how special it is, how holy it is, right? So we're talking about like that Yaakov Avinu gave over to Yosef, gave over to him the sense of something being precious, right? And so we're just sort of summing this up a little bit. The word v'ahavta, you shall love, right? What is the root of that word? Have. What does have mean? Give, right? Right. In this world, or in the superficial level of the world, you give me a gift, and I love you, right? That's the way it is usually, right? Like in other words, when you say, "Oh, I love," it's like that old anecdote about the fisherman catches a nice big fish, and he says, "Oh, great, the king loves fish." The fish thinks to himself, "Oh, I still have a chance to survive." He brings the fish to the castle. The guards say, "What do you got there?" "Oh, I've got this beautiful fish." They say, "Oh, the king loves fish." So they bring him up to the king, and the fish is still hoping to survive. And the king says, "Oh, I love fish." And he calls the chef and he says, "Please prepare me a fish steak." Right? And the fish says, "You don't love fish, you love your stomach. You just love eating fish," right? Right? When people say, "I love something," they're very often talking about what it does for me, right? But the deeper, real meaning of love is, this is so precious to me, I'm ready to do everything for it, right? So I love Eretz Yisrael doesn't mean that, oh, like, like life in Eretz Israel is just so much better than it is in Los Angeles or England or Muncie or whatever it is. It means that I love Eretz Israel so much. It's so precious to me. I'm ready to do everything for it. And that's what Yaakov Avinu gave over to Yosef in the last few minutes before he died. And that's what parents usually give over to their children just before they leave this world. They give over to them what's really precious. Okay. Welcome. So we're having Shalosh Shudas in Mr. Shem. Everybody's welcome. 4:30. Okay. Who are you guys?